Hello there, guys. Welcome to the webinar. I'm here with Jon Scott from ScopeStack, who's very excited to present the exciting new integration that the team has actually built with HaloPSA. It's a very exciting one, quite a cool one with project scoping. But before we get into the integration itself, Jon, please tell us all about ScopeStack. What's the story behind the company and what makes you guys tick?
Yeah, Joe. So we've been here, been around for about 7 years now, so since around like 2018. And I'm one of the founders of ScopeStack. Prior to that, I managed a team of pre-sale solution architects here in the States on the East Coast. And right, my main job had two key components: was bill of materials and quoting, right, all the hardware product parts, and then writing a statement of work. And I worked for a couple very large services organizations, and we had spreadsheets and Word templates. Like that's all we had. So, right, every single time we had to scope out a project, it was just this spreadsheet rodeo and Word template customization, blah blah blah. And like you would think for a massive organization that I worked at, there would be a better way to do it, and it's just there wasn't, right? And so, like any good engineer, I would Google Cisco statement of work automation because that's what I was doing a lot of, and there just wasn't anything built for us. And so, quit my job back in December of 2017. We had our first customer on in March of 2018. They're still on the platform today, and so it's kind of crazy, right? I mean, you know this with software, like it scales pretty instantaneously, and so we
Yeah,
have customers everywhere from here in the U.S. to Australia and everywhere in between. And it's really the focus of what we do is all around solving the services scoping and pricing process for services organizations. Um, right, like we know there are proposal tools out there, we know there are quoting tools out there, but they really don't solve the problem we're solving. And so, what we want to do is just stay focused at that, solve that really well, and then partner with organizations like Halo to do what you do really well, which is the post-project, kind of management process. One of many things I'll do well. So that's really it, right? So like as we see it, it's sales, finds an opportunity, and we integrate with multiple CRMs as well. We pick up that opportunity in ScopeStack, and I'll show this all to you here in a demo. Pick that up in ScopeStack, do our scoping exercise, internal workflow approval, costing, pricing, generating the statement of work. And then once that's all approved, we want to pass that off to Halo, right? So where you're managing your project from a PSA standpoint, we want to make sure that what we're scoping and what the engineers are delivering is aligned, right? And
yeah,
the best way to do that, right, is through technology and integration. So that's really us in a nutshell.
yeah.
And what really makes us, tick is we want to give back time to those engineers that quite often right now have to choose between right their family and like getting a scope out the door because it just
Yeah.
takes too long. So that's really what drives us in the background.
Absolutely, and it's quite important as well. I mean, you are giving time back to the people on site, the people in labour, but also I find it so important just for best practices. Actually having a statement of work that's aligned with best practices is so important, especially from a budgetary, ideal,
Yeah.
really. But yeah, it's very exciting as well. I saw before you showed me a short demo of it, how you were kind of changing the values relating to how much cables required and how much resources will be
Yeah.
required. It's quite impressive actually, and the way it synchronizes with Halo is quite important too. Um, but yeah, I guess it would be great to kind of get a view of the integration itself. You have a live
Yeah.
demo, don't you? As like any good engineer, you can actually show us how it works,
Right.
I believe.
Yeah. I prefer to like show you something actually than talk about it with my engineering background. So
Yeah,
yeah, let me do that. So let me pull this up.
absolutely. I think you can share the screen as well. Also in the comments, someone mentioned there's someone from Portugal present as well. So I believe now with the EU and America, I think America's winning by one, by the way.
Ah, good to know.
So you're still winning, Jon.
You are competitive. Yes, as you should. All right. Can you all see this? Can you see this, Joe?
Yep, can see it just fine.
Cool. All right. So again, with ScopeStack, web-based app. I almost told you all the like really non engineering technical things that you don't need to know about the platform. But right. So get in here. I went ahead and kind of pre-built some of the data for demo purposes. But say we want to do like a 365 email migration scope, right? This is what it looks like inside of ScopeStack. And so really the core of what we do is around professional services managed and third-party services. We have a little bit of product, right, that integrates with other CRMs. in its own product catalog. But for the most part, what I'll show you today is really around the services side, because that's what we push to Halo, right? So I'm coming in here, I'm building out this project. One component of ScopeStack that I'm really passionate about is something called surveys. And so surveys are like discovery guides, discovery questionnaires. So really like the input-driven approach to scoping out a project. So in this case, right, if I was to go through and we wanted to do like a 365 email migration project, I can enter like how many mailboxes, number of users, which provider are you migrating from, and just answer all these questions that you're going to ask already, right? And you can do one of two things. So one, you could just use this as a way to like make sure that whether sales or yourself are not forgetting to ask the right questions, and just capture that as context, right, for this project. Or you can go a step further and actually use these answers to like programmatically recommend the right services that should be scoped out, right? So in this case, it says, hey, we need to account for 365 end user setup, which is a service, and Microsoft 365 email migration, which is a service. And so we would apply that to our project. And I've already applied it right over here. And so you'll see a couple of, right, you'll see my 365 end user setup. You'll see my 365 email migration service. And within that, we have like sub-services, right? And so this is probably not too dissimilar to some of the templates that are in Halo or other templating tools, but really where we feel like we kind of differentiate ourselves is around like the level of effort calculation, doing some of those front-end calculations, as well as mapping language to each of these services. And so this is what allows us, that mapping of scope language and services is what allows us to like generate a dynamic statement of work. And again, kind of coming back here just to show this work breakdown, this should look pretty familiar to a lot of folks.
Yeah,
but right.
Fantastic. You can see the unit hours as well tied to the quantities too. And I suppose that will
Yeah.
provide a calculation of what is required in relation to the budget.
Yeah, exactly. And so like you can see up here at the top, just by using the programmatic stuff and a couple other services in here, we have our revenue already calculated and our costs and our GP of this project really easily visible to you up at the top.
Fantastic.
Another thing, yeah, and so like, and so this is pretty common. So really like, we talk about the framework a lot of like best practice, how to set up your service and all that. Like that's the part that we kind of bring to the table that I think provides some of that lasting impact, right? I mean, as well as anyone, like software is as good as kind of the business logic behind it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you can't just put software in and it fixes all your problems. You kind of have to think through how you do that. So that's part of the work we do with all of our customers. And then, components like project governance. So like, what are the things like we're always forgetting because we're going too fast? So like, as an example, on every project, this is set up in settings, like every project gets 20% of the total level of effort for project management, right? So we're adding 14 hours of PM time. Same with some documentation time and contingency, right? Or risk. But that way you can cover, right, the things that just are forgotten every now and then. As a business leader that those are going to be included every single time.
Oh, brilliant. So yeah, you can, I guess, apply those templates to different forms of projects and then just standardize it across the board. That's really impressive.
Yeah, and it's flexible, right? And so I can come in here and I call them, nerd knobs, right? But I can change my percentage of project management to 30% if I know this client is really difficult, to work with. Or I can also change any of these governance items from a survey, right? So we have some clients that will build out like a risk survey. So they'll say, is it an enterprise client? Have we delivered this solution before? Are they difficult? Based on how you answer those, it would increase these percentage overlays accordingly, which is kind of cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then you get down to, pricing, right? So like, here are all the resources on the project. Here are the hours included in the scope for each of them, their effective rate, cost, GP, right? To give you like kind of a roll up of how that $15,000 in this case is calculated. And you can break it down by phase, by service. And I'll show you this too. So like, this is when we push to Halo, we'll actually create tickets, right, in each of these kind of phase based methodologies. That's one option and how you push that over there.
Yeah.
So I'll show you some of the other options here in a
Brilliant. So
second.
I guess it still simplified the template building process in Halo projects then. It would just predefine it
Yeah,
and sync it across.
yeah, exactly. And we can also update an existing project, right? So if you use a template in Halo to create kind of a like the bookends of a project or some other components that you need in there, we
Yeah.
can add to an existing project as opposed to just creating a new one as well to really
Oh,
augment
brilliant.
what you already have built out in Halo.
Okay, so if there is like something has been reassessed for the project, we need to reassess it in some way, you can actually update it from ScopeStack using these best
Yeah,
practices and update it into Halo.
yeah.
Oh,
So we can push it and then map it accordingly.
oh, brilliant.
And so, all right. So say we're ready, right? I think this is good. Technically, it's been built out. I can click request approval. Um, I'll save you from the approval process for now, but just because we want the project to be approved before we push it to PSA because we don't want to just push random stuff.
Mm.
So really, now that you have this done, right, we can say push to PSA. We can choose, we need the start date and end date. That's an API requirement, I think, right? And go through and like choose all the stuff. So like we want to create this project as new. We can give it a priority if we want to associate it to a specific company. And again, we're going to create a new project, or do we want to use a project template? And then this is really the important part here, right? Which is, so for every ScopeStack service, this is probably our most common, right? So we want to create a project task in Halo for every top level service. And we
Okay.
want to create a subtask for each ScopeStack subservice. So if I was to go over here into ScopeStack and show you this, so like this would become a ticket, and then these would become sub tickets within that.
Right. Okay. Got it.
And again, there are different ways you can do that. We have one button on that PSA where it says, "Hey, I want to create a ticket for every single one of these lines," and we call that the anger the engineer button.
Yeah.
Right? I think we have one customer that does that, but they do that. And so once I go ahead and do all this work, and also do I want to create those governance items in Halo as well? So submit that. Basically, what that looks like over here is in Halo. Go pick up my project, and you can see like we're creating. Let me zoom
Oh,
in there. Sorry.
brilliant. So yeah, the milestones have been named and specified there as well, and everything's been
Yep.
segregated.
Exactly. And so like it's aligned to the phases that are in ScopeStack, as well
Yeah.
as the time budget is automatically included in there as well for each of those
Oh,
tickets and
brilliant. So the budgets
tasks.
are brought across as well. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, because
Yep.
a big part of Halo is the project management side of things. It can be difficult to just recreate templates and keep rolling things into place. The template creation process is good if you want to
Yeah.
predefine some templates and then amend them in Halo, but doing it in something like this would be significantly quicker. And for standardizing processes as well, this is pretty granular too. It's good going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, this is this is what we used to do, right? This is all based on like our experience now, plus, thousands of users providing their feedback to
Mm.
us on how we can make it better, right? So like our experience got us so far, but thankfully a lot of the overarching principles of project scoping haven't changed a whole lot. We're just trying to instill that consistency in it. And so that really is a big part of like the handoff, right, between what we call pre-sales kind of scoping and pricing, and then the handoff to delivery or the engineering team is like, we want to make sure that what's there and what we presented to the client is also what's here.
Yeah. Okay. And
And
I
I kind
guess
of,
with your kind of customers that you have at the moment, what kind of verticals are you covering? Is it mainly the MSP industry, or is this a broader solution for people outside of the MSP industry?
no, I mean, it's funny. We get demo requests for people outside of the IT industry quite often, and maybe one day, but that is not what we focus on now
Yeah.
by any means. We're not for the roofing industry yet. But no, it's really all around IT services, right? So we work with MSPs and VARs of all sizes, to be honest. And I'd say it's one of the things about the platform, like with any software, is like we want to walk through like kind of the underlying whys behind some of the implementation of ScopeStack, why you're trying to do this, and like we will help you kind of think through that. And so it's not just the software, right? You get the benefit and the experience of our team
Yeah.
layered on top of that, which y'all also do a great job with your partners and other folks on your team. So
Yeah, of course. I
And
mean, you're a very, very
and
friendly organization. Anyone I speak to is generally quite nice to speak to. And if I ever on email
good.
correspondence, you guys are enjoyable as well. We're very like-minded in that sense. I think at
Yeah,
Halo, we
yeah,
tend to take things quite nicely and you tend to work well. Any issues raised either side, we tend to jump on them quite quickly as well, which is quite cool together. What I'm saying is we're quite like-minded. I quite like the organization at ScopeStack as well. I
yeah.
suppose I
Thanks,
should
man.
ask with that as well. Do you guys kind of, I guess, the way that you implement ScopeStack, do you guys kind of do the implementations yourself, or do you offer guides out? If I was a new customer of ScopeStack, how would I start out?
Yeah, yeah. We have a couple of different options. All it really all boils down to onboarding, right? And so as a part of coming on as a new customer, I mean, we have an onboarding service, and that can get as extensive as us helping you actually build out solutions in ScopeStack. So like that email migration one as an example, like, hey, if that's something you do a lot of and you can't rack your mind around how to create a consistent scoping process and pricing methodology for that, we can help you do that. And then
Mm.
we have, the very basics around, hey, you already have, what your phase methodology is, what your practice areas are, you kind of know all that stuff, and we'll just help you configure it. So it's kind of anything in between. We actually use ScopeStack to scope our onboarding effort, which I know is a novel idea of using your own software, but
That's fantastic.
it's pretty cool. I will say I kind of fast forwarded through like one of the, I wouldn't say it's the most critical part, but a very
Oh, of
critical part,
course,
which is actually
the
actually
document.
generating a document, right? And
Of
so
course.
um, a couple of things you can like export some of these spreadsheets, but yeah, like generating a document, like, so this is a part of the onboarding process as well. As we'll take your look and feel of a statement of work
Mm.
format and templating, and we'll build that in here. But also you can use, we have some free scope templates on our website. So there's a great resource out there. There's like 50 something of them out there already, and it has like a work breakdown and an
Oh,
example statement
brilliant.
of work. Oh, you can't probably see my whole screen here.
Yeah, you'll have to drag it onto the tab, I reckon, the PDF. 'Cause we're on the app at the moment. And I guess the PDF templates as well, are they open HTML? How is the customization process?
Yeah, so it's actually a Word doc kind of builder process in the background. We can
Oh,
create
brilliant.
PDFs as well, but it's a very native and kind of familiar experience. The one thing that, like anything, is like which data object needs to go where, right? And so
Mm.
like that's part of our onboarding process and some templates we have. So here's just a quick scroll through of scope. And so you kind of see it's building out the phases, the services, all that language kind of automatically for you. All right. And
And
even getting down to pricing. So
just to go with your using your own software, Andy said in the group chat to drink your own champagne as well, which is quite a funny one you're
yeah,
introducing.
yeah. I've been using that one as opposed to dog food, I think is what the one
I've
everyone
said dog
uses.
food before. I got a few funny looks when I said it, so I stopped saying it after that. I'm glad it
Champagne's
does
better.
exist. Yeah, champagne sounds a
Yeah.
lot better. Thank you, Andy.
And I
Um,
will say, so this service catalog, this is kind of there are a bunch of pre-built services in ScopeStack. So say you become a customer, all that stuff that you see as a free scope on our website, we built those with ScopeStack, right? So we generated them, uploaded them to the website, but those all live within your account as well as like a starting point. And this came from a very mature MSP partner of ours that was like, hey, this is the part that took me some time.
yeah.
Here, you can have all my stuff because I want your clients to benefit from ScopeStack, which is
Oh,
really
fantastic.
was
Yeah, and
it was
it's
a,
like,
I think that says a lot about our customers. Right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, they're willing to do that.
That's brilliant. The suggested hours as well, resource phase. That's brilliant. Yeah. And I suppose
Yeah. Yeah.
if I was a customer receiving that PDF statement of work, or sorry, the Word document, statement of work that you just generated there, I would feel a lot more confident in the MSP services, because the important thing is, as an MSP, selling your services is one of the hardest things to do. And if you just do
Oh,
give them this professional background, it gives them an idea of safety in your services as well. But
yeah,
yeah, sorry, I cut you off
100%.
there,
And
Jon.
I think no, and I think it's a great point, Joe. Like and it reduces your risk. Ideally, we're not lawyers, but we just dabble in the space a good bit. Um, so, um, yes, I think it does put on a more professional. And again, I will also say like there are other proposal tools out there that we have customers use ScopeStack to scope out the work, and then they'll wrap, some really pretty stuff around it if they need to. So again, just kind of going back to the focus of like, we want to do what we do really well, right? And then partner with those that do other stuff really well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's part of, I mean, Halo does have a lot of features and functionality in there, but one market we're not going into is the RMM market. Everyone always asks, is there an Halo RMM, things like that. Normally
Yeah.
all of the all of the best RMMs never tend to make PSAs, and all the best PSAs, we probably wouldn't be best suited to making an RMM, is what I'm saying. Before I
Yeah.
throw out any, I don't want anyone to catch any strays with that comment. But yeah, we do tend to stick to what we're good at.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. We do have an integration platform in the background as well. So we have some native integrations like with HaloPSA, but we also have an integration platform that allows you to do all sorts of other things. Like update Slack or Teams or some of that stuff that a great place to see a lot of the Halo integrations we also offer.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we had a question as well from an anonymous attendee. It sounds very ominous.
Ooh.
Does this connect to the Halo sales module and sales tickets?
Yeah, so I can tell you exactly where we're pushing this stuff is right here within projects, that projects board. And Joe, you might know better than I do, but this is where we're doing most of that work.
Yeah, so I guess the question is around the quoting process, I guess, because at the moment we're pulling this in from external quoting solutions for the scoping of these projects. I suppose between Halo and ScopeStack, do we sync any product information? Do you know?
We do that with others. I have to see if we because right now you can create a source. So like Halo would be a source of like your product catalog and pull that in to a project. That's something I can double check on and
yeah, sure, no worries. Because I guess in the future of that anyway, if not, probably for the future is something that I'm sure would be looked into. If we do sync product information. With the Halo sales module, you can send out quotations for e-signature, and then once they're signed,
I think
generate a project.
That'd be a great way to kind of go full loop on it, right? Is write back some of that data to the sales module. Do y'all integrate with like a product catalog or anything as well?
Yeah, so we do actually integrate with Ingram Micro reseller and Tech Data reseller as well at the moment. They're live product lookups between the two. We also integrate with an ITIL-aligned catalog just for rich data of products, which is quite cool. And then outside of that, we'd integrate with accounting solutions such as Xero, QuickBooks Online, Sage Intacct, just to put in your products from your account solution. But if, for example, your products did exist, if you synced any products out of your accounting solution into ScopeStack, then you can also sync them into Halo 2 from the accounting solution. But there's API endpoints there. If you already have an integration into projects, I'm sure in the future it might be. I'm not putting work on your plate as well to choose to integrate.
Put stuff on my roadmap.
Yeah.
No, I mean we already do that. Yeah, we do that with a couple of other platforms. So I think the groundwork is already there. We just extend that capability to Halo. And that gets more priority the more people ask for it. So for all of you anonymous people out there.
Thank you, anonymous attendee. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I guess with that, sorry, go on, John.
No, I was going to say, I mean, we'd be glad to field any additional questions as well.
Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth there. We're coming up to the half-hour mark with 5 minutes to go. No, it's perfect. You're on the ball there, John. Any questions, guys, for anyone watching at the moment around ScopeStack, the integration, or Halo? Anything around those guys? Any questions? Or anyone can say where they're from as well. We had someone from the Netherlands there and someone from Mexico. I'll count Mexico as America. So that means that you're still one up over us at the moment.
Come on.
Yeah, please don't let John win, guys. But anyway, any other closing questions, guys, for the last 4 minutes? I see we've had someone come in. Adam Whitaker just asked, do you have a community where you can share and import scopes?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the, I think the first year we built ScopeStack, I had this exact same idea. I was like, hey, there are a lot of kind people out there, and I think this community concept would be a great concept. What we found pretty quickly is everyone wanted to take, no one wanted to share. So that was going to die pretty quickly. But that's where we're the service catalog, the free scope templates on our website. We're continuing to add to that. And again, as we get kind of more people asking for that concept, I'm sure it's something we can implement. You can see like our feedback feature request board out there as well. It's at feedback.scopestack.io. So you can kind of see what people are asking for, some feature requests there as well.
Fantastic. Awesome. And I can see we have a San Antonio, Texas with us and also a Kingston, UK. So America's still one up. For the last kind of before the half-hour mark, guys, 3 minutes left to say where you're from if you're from Europe, or to ask any additional questions you might have. Any other questions, guys? Oh, someone from Gloucester, Massachusetts. I thought that was the UK then. And Canada, and then London, UK. I think America is currently 2 up now. Any other questions, guys, around ScopeStack or Halo at all before we get to the half-hour mark? Here we go. A question from Jon, right from the start as well. Any plans on integrating AI? It's a must-have these days, right?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of our customers about this. Some of the interesting things that we've seen in evaluating AI solutions, even as to like, hey, from like competitive analysis, right, for ourselves, is the lack of consistency in output. And so I think we still have an advantage to leverage AI component and ScopeStack in a couple of different ways. One is, how do we import, right? So how do we take your previously scoped projects, right? And we're beta testing some AI OCR components, or like data extraction from those, because again, creating content in your account is, one of the first big steps. So the import functionality, and then also what we call service description language, scoping language, kind of providing you suggestions with language based on a combination of like executive summary, solution summary. So we are evaluating several different things. Again, I'm always open to feedback on things that people have seen work and work well. I think everyone's doing it. I don't know who's doing it well, right? So we'll be glad to hear that out, but it's something we're currently evaluating for sure.
Yeah, of course. It's about training the language model, isn't it? And that just takes time,
Yeah.
doesn't it? But once it's there, it's very effective. But
well, and the good thing is like we have 7 years of data, right? Potentially, or it becomes your own data. And like that's what, I've been hesitant around it, just because I don't want any of our customers' data just kind of out there in some language model that who knows what's going on, right? And so the idea of like very specific language models, like focused as opposed to everything, and training those, to your point, I think is kind of where we're heading, right?
Absolutely. Well, 7 years of data, there's a lot to train it with, which is good going.
It's a ton of data. Yeah, a ton of data.
Fantastic. Awesome. Any other closing questions, guys? We have for the last minute of the session. Any other questions, guys? I can see America's also winning by 2 now.
Strong.
So there we go. Just joined a bit late. I may have missed it. The collaboration options with the scope and customers, or what was your collaboration options with the scope and customers in the system?
Yeah, so internally we have a way to collaborate internally within your team on projects. So you invite someone to a project, right? They can see who invited them, why, so on and so forth. In terms of collaborating with customers on the scope, we're currently in the middle of kind of revamping our document generation process to include things like PowerPoints and other document types, as well as some flexibility in a preview. One of the things that you have to do to be able to collaborate online is like convert all this text to HTML, and right, like there's this whole Word doc HTML translation that always happens. So in terms of like collaborating, redlining with customer, we currently don't have that capability, but that's where like the data kind of extensibility, like, do we want to push this language all to someone that does that really well, right? As opposed to recreating that all ourselves. It's kind of the approach we're going to be taking, is like, with the integration platform we have available, we can push data wherever you want it to go, really.
Yeah. Awesome. And one final question now from Andy in the group chat. Andy was the comment about the champagne. Is there any specials with Halo at the moment, or just the website to see pricing? Any, I guess, promotions in relation to the webinar or anything like that? We haven't discussed anything prior to this, Andy, by the way, so this is me putting Jon on the spot.
I was going to say, I'm going to make this up as we go, Andy. But no, just anyone on this call, just if you'll request a demo with our team, we'll talk to you, let us know you drink champagne, and maybe that's our key. Thanks to Andy, right? That's our key key combo or keyword that you should use to know that you're part of this webinar. We'd be glad to work with you on some.
Fantastic. Yeah, we can give you a list of the panelists. You can send out a follow-up email, and if they follow on from that, from the webinar itself, you can have a chat about the champagne that we're making. Amazing, awesome. That takes us just past the half an hour mark, guys. That kind of takes us over time for the webinar. Really appreciate everyone for signing up today and watching the ScopeStack webinar, and thank you to Jon as well for presenting the integration successfully. Live demos aren't easy, as we all know. But yeah, I appreciate your time today, Jon.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for the opportunity. Again, great to partner with organizations like Halo. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time as well. We'll all be in touch, guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya.